Ladies, creative, caring, capable women, beautiful on the inside out. Please, I am begging you to take up more space. And I know you want to, but it sounds cheesy or not easy. So I'm here to give you 7 simple ways, and the last way is the best. And this doesn't mean that we're trying to change the world. I don't mean that you have to speak loudly or dye your hair bright colors or take up all the air in the room. Not at all. It means you're showing up more fully so that life can be better and more interesting and prosperous. So that you and others, maybe your loved ones, your community, or even the rest of us in the world can benefit and can interact with what you've been given to contribute. And everyone has been given something to contribute. By taking up more space, I just mean going for it and getting what's inside of you, your gifts, your strengths, and making them manifest outside of you somehow so that you and others, that was a squirrel. Somebody's been feeding that squirrel because it was thinking I had some snack. When the people who have something to say and who have something to offer don't feel like they can do this, life in general is just so much more boring and full of problems for everyone, for us all. And 2, showing up with your offering for your life, your loved ones, your community, or even the world is not as impossible, and it's much more rewarding than we estimate. And there are simple, straightforward ways to get this going. Women who have something to say, something to contribute, often are the very ones who lack the confidence to say or to bring that offer to the marketplace or to the world for the rest of us to benefit from. And why is that? It's because having something to say comes with power. And power often gives rise to jealousy in others or intimidation in others, or especially intimidation within ourselves, right? We're often intimidated by our own sense of what we want to do in life. Or it just gives rise to resistance from a variety of directions and for a variety of reasons. And I'm just not here for it anymore, and I hope you're not either. I'm so tired of seeing people who are creative and caring, especially women, feeling like they are forced to shrink back because of the force of the resistance they meet when they try to step forward with what they've been given to contribute. Now, to set the stage, when you have resistance to taking up space, it's almost always diminished identity. Not in a clinical sense, but just in an everyday practical sense. Diminished identity can affect us all at any level of life, even the higher levels of achievement. It's when we're in the gap, or it causes a gap. And there's tension and frustration and discouragement in this gap. The first gap is when you can see something better and higher for yourself on the one hand, and yet what you think at a deeper level that you can have is different, is not as much, it's lower, less than what you can already see that you can have. You can sense that you can have it. So it's this identity or self-concept issue. There's a gap between the two. And the other type of gap is when you're yearning for something higher or better, but your clarity for what you're yearning for isn't there. And neither one of these 2 gaps is your fault. We don't have to get into detail about why it's not your fault and where the blame actually belongs. We could say advertising, socializing, your family background, a bunch of other things, but no matter what, it's not your fault. And yet, it's best not to consider yourself to be a victim. Because remember, the power is already there. It's already in you, yours. It just needs to flow. You already have the power. You just need to learn how, or be willing to take up space and put that power into action based on what it's for. So in this video, since enough is enough, let's briefly discuss 7 ways that you can go from having diminished identity to being in your full freedom of movement. Now, before I cover the first one, keep in mind that these are not steps, but a variety of options. So listen for the 1 or 2 that you want to try, okay? The first way to take up space is finding one small way to put yourself on the hook. So if you have someone who is genuinely supportive in your life, who can be a cheerleader for you, then put yourself on the hook and share your decision to take one step in a specific direction. Put yourself on the hook. For example, me telling you in this video my plans for this channel puts me, in a way, on the hook. And I've designed the content of this channel around the direction that I want to grow in my life. So I'm on the hook to grow. And this is important to me because as I encourage others to take up more space, I'm taking up more space. I'm walking my talk. The second way is to blank the box. And you know that box. It's the box that people put you in. It's the underestimation, the limitations, the stereotypes, or the box of expectations and mediocrity that people tell you to think outside of. The box can represent your internalized fears, your mental prison. So what's in the blank? I'll share that in a future video. Not to make it a cliffhanger, but I mean, yeah, kind of. But anyway, just shifting your attention to the box and recognizing that the box is there, you'll begin noticing how the box is cramping your style, and hopefully this will motivate you to want to take up more space. The third way you can start to take up more space is to find your purpose and pursue it. A purpose is something that motivates the right kind of changes or growth. The changes that cause you or allow you to take up more space in the world. Finding and pursuing your purpose is the subject of the first series that I'm releasing on this channel because of how fundamental that it is. So stay tuned for that. Purpose is huge. The fourth way to take up space is to return to being more playful. Now, if you've lost your sense of having permission to play and having genuine fun, it can feel hard to get it back. And one easy shift that will help is the idea of experimenting. So you can just tell yourself, I'm just experimenting, I'm just trying stuff out, I'm just playing around. Having a playful approach to taking up space, it doesn't mean that you have to dye your hair a wacky color or become the class clown. It might just mean that you're trying things out or taking small risks to see what happens. Trusting yourself that no matter what happens, you will have had fun. You're not going to beat yourself up about the outcome, and you're just being a little bit more lighthearted with your approach to life. The sixth way to take up space is to aim to close that gap that I was talking about earlier. So first, you want to figure out which type of gap that you're in, and then decide on one small way or one first step that you can take to close the gap. So are you in the gap where what you can see for yourself and what you think you deserve are two different, too far apart things? Or are you in the gap of yearning for something better, but lacking clarity on what better means? And maybe you're in both types of gaps, but just choose one type of gap and one small way or one small step that you can take towards closing it. And there's many, many other ways to begin taking up more space, but the final and seventh one that I'll talk about here is my favorite. And that is to watch an interior design No. Oh my gosh. Okay. The final and seventh one that I'll talk about here is to watch an interior design competition show. Especially the earlier episodes in the competition, when the contestants or the participants are encouraged by their mentor, their judge, to really command the space that they're designing, that they're decorating. Now, the reason I recommend this with my full chest is because interior design is very similar to your inner landscape, right? It's a great metaphor for what's happening on the inside of you, or at least what can happen on the inside of you with the right kind of quality, attention, and intention. In fact, when I had my professional organizing and interior design decorating business, I found that people who had resistance to taking up space in their life also had resistance to doing things like paint a wall a pretty color or hang a painting to own their space, right? Even when they own the house. And this included highly educated professionals that owned multiple properties, because financial and career achievements don't always equate to feeling like you have the permission to take up space in your world. So watching a transformation of a room when designers are developing the courage to command the space that they're transforming will hopefully encourage you to become excited for the change that is possible when you take the same approach and apply it to your inner self. The issues that we face on the outside can reflect the issues we need to address inside, whether it's clutter, styling, decorating, and yet your inner space trumps it all, right? Because someone's outer environment may be styled and pristine and maybe even vibrant and colorful, but that doesn't mean that they've done the more important, deeper work of looking inward for the depth and the courage that it takes to bring your gifts to the banquet, so to speak, to share and to benefit others in your world. So that's the priority, that's the hierarchy. It takes more courage, and it's more important to pay attention to your inner landscape, and then to let that work become reflected in your outer world, and not the other way around. Now, when you're getting started, sometimes it does help to address your outer world first as an entryway, but that's a whole other video. So, those are the 7 ways. What did you think of them? Which ones are you going to try? Do you have any questions? I hope by now you're feeling the gentle urgency and the drive and excitement and confidence to do this. You can do this. Please do it. So welcome to the playground. Let's get this going with the first video in my first series, which is on purpose. I hope everything is beautiful with you. Big hugs, and I will see you in the next one.